Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 things I hate about the new Volvo ES90. So I've already made a long, in-depth tour looking at this car from the exterior, the interior, talking about all the specs and all the details. So I'll link that video down below. This video is more just glossing over a few quick things I hate about this car, and by no means do I hate this car. I think this is a very cool entry into this segment of vehicle. It's priced competitively, it has insane specs, the charging speed and all of that, but like every car, it's not perfect. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 things I hate, in quotes or in brackets, about the new Volvo ES90. Let's start with a few basics about the Volvo ES90 for those who are new to this car. The ES90 is a brand new large sedan, or actually it's a 5-door fastback. That is essentially the electric version of the Volvo S90. But it does not replace the S90, at least not yet. Volvo will for a few years be offering the fully electric ES90 and the hybrid S90. At launch, there will be 3 versions available. The rear-wheel drive single-motor version with a usable battery capacity of 88 kilowatt-hours and a WLTP rated range of 650 kilometers or 315 miles according to the EPA. Then there will be an all-wheel drive twin-motor version with a usable battery capacity of 102 kilowatt-hours and a WLTP rated range of 700 kilometers or 330 miles according to the EPA. Lastly, we'll see a performance version with 680 horsepower that does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4 seconds flat. All models are built on an 800-volt architecture and will charge from 10 to 80% in 20 minutes. So this is a large electric saloon or a 5-door hatchback, and because of that, because of the size, it has a large battery pack. And because it has a large battery pack, it can get very expensive if you want to go for the version with the most range and with all-wheel drive. So that twin motor version has a starting price in Norway of 855,000 kroner. So I'm going to put the pricing for the US and also the EU and the UK down below. You can see that this can get very expensive if you want to go for that option with that biggest battery pack, 102 kilowatt hours usable, but also has insane charging at 350 kilowatts, 10 to 80% in like 20 minutes. But if you want that 700 kilometers of WLTP rated range or 330 according to the EPA, you have to go for that large 102 kilowatt hour battery pack. And in this large car, it does get expensive. So I don't know, from a value proposition, the entry-level model isn't bad, but that twin motor version, yeah, that is actually quite expensive. So the rear seats of this car on the surface look huge. I mean, that looks like a large amount of rear legroom. And don't get me wrong, it is, because this car has a wheelbase of 3.1 meters and the car is only 5 meters long. But it's kind of an optical illusion because when you sit in the rear, yeah, it's not very, very big. I mean, you do have a lot of knee room, but this is a large car. But look how high that floor is. So because of that large battery pack, they had to lift up the floor quite a bit in the rear, and you just sit in quite an awkward position. I don't think this is the best position. You can see that my knees are like almost at the height of the seat back. That is weird. And just for comparison, this is the Audi A6 e-tron. Obviously, there is a lot less knee room. The distance between my knees and the seat back is a lot less, but also the floor isn't nearly as high, and I have a lot more under thigh support because the seat base is higher and also the seat base is longer. So the angle where I'm sitting at is a lot less acute than in the ES90, and also I have a lot of room for my feet underneath the front seat. So it's just a more comfortable seating position, though there is less knee room. So not a fan of the high floor in the rear. It's just awkward. So the rear is a beautiful design. Again, you want to check out my full review if you want to see that in depth. And this is a hatchback, a 5-door hatchback, so you have a very practical opening. But for being this large of a vehicle, like the rear seats, the floor of that trunk is very high. And that means on paper, though this is a large opening and a big car, the trunk's only 446 liters. And that is not big, but at least it is a practical shape. But I was just hoping maybe they would have made the trunk a little bit bigger and at least give it a little underfloor storage, but not the biggest trunk for being this large of a vehicle. That is a bit disappointing. So if you think the trunk is small, the frunk is maybe even smaller. And that has this stupid latch here that, okay, I managed to do it now with one hand. So this I think is like 27 liters. How are you able to make such a small frunk in such a large vehicle? I mean, you know, I'm not the hugest Tesla fan, but at least with a Tesla this size, you're gonna get a frunk that you can actually sleep in. Even in something like a Tesla Model 3, which is substantially smaller than this, the front is, yeah, a lot bigger. This is just a very small frunk, and I don't know if this is because this is a pre-production, but closing the frunk, you have to do it with two hands. This is like the 5th time I've done that, and I found out that you have to push it on the latch here and on the latch here. Otherwise, it just won't close. So the front cabin of the new ES90 is beautiful. And again, for a full tour, check out my full review. But there's one thing I don't really like about these new Volvos, and that is everything is buried in the infotainment system. And you know, the integration here is a lot better than what we see with the EX90 because we have more dashboard here. You know, it's just not like an iPad glued to the dashboard, but because we don't have, you know, a lot of stocks like behind the steering wheel here, we only have the gear selector, and then we have that other stock here, and then we have a few buttons. Everything's buried here. So if you want to adjust the steering wheel, you have to go into this here, and then you have to go into driver adjustment. The same goes for the mirrors. And yeah, it's just not the most intuitive, but if you want to turn off lane keep aid and assist intelligent speed limit assistant there, you can do it there. But driver alert, like with the Volvo EX30, isn't here on this screen. So like they have improved a lot of their other cars, but not all of their cars. So it's a bit disappointing that we don't have, you know, that same array of shortcuts in this car. And then lastly, guys, the charge port. So not electrically operated, which I don't mind. Like this is gonna work even though it's minus 20 or 30 degrees outside, which it often can get here in Sweden or in Norway. So that is fine. But does it have to have this cheap, flimsy cover for the DC part of the charge port, where other cars have, you know, an elegant solution where you just, you know, can flip that? Like this is not, it's not a nice solution, and this is going to get broken at some point in time. Look how flimsy it is. I could probably tear that off if I wanted. So not the best, you know, solution, but at least, yeah, you have a button here to stop the charging, which is really nice, and this at least is going to be fine even when it is super cold outside. So there we go, guys. Those are the 5 things I hate about the new Volvo ES90, and hate in brackets because it's not really hate. It's kind of an exaggeration. It's just kind of a fun video talking about things that may not be optimal. But overall, this is a very new, exciting car from Volvo, and I can't wait to test this out on the real world, or in the real world on real roads, because I think it just looks spectacular. And I think what you're getting here is a very interesting package with a large battery pack, super fast charging, and good range on this platform. So guys, let me know what you think about the new Volvo ES90. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.